Testing, 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 testing.
This is the 1973 edition box, the original Realm. Comes in a smaller box, and right below it we see the actual game. It's all in plastic. It's a plastic board, plastic pieces in red and white. I believe I've seen pictures of a version of this, same game, same edition, but in black and yellow pieces. Now, the very next year, for some reason or other, they did a larger box. This is the 1974 edition, the second edition of Realm. Now, if you look at this box, you can kind of tell why they did this. It takes up more space in the toy store. You can actually see it better than the smaller box. But when you look inside, you'll see that the board is different. The board is it's a cardboard board, and it's in these very earthy colors. At first, it seems pretty appealing. Looks very interesting, browns and golds with these greens, right, for the center spaces. So it seems like it's great. But now look at the pieces. The pieces are a kind of brass color versus silver color. Okay. And so, first of all, this is the original molds for the 1973 edition. And if you look at it here, let me compare the two boards. You have this one, which is a lot smaller with the same size pieces. These pieces are suddenly drowned within the squares. I mean, you can barely see them. They're camouflaged, depending on the lighting conditions. Now we have broad daylight right now, so maybe they don't look so bad. But depending on the lighting conditions, they're halfway camouflaged. So from a practical perspective, it doesn't really work. Interesting idea. It's the biggest board of Realm yet, but it doesn't really work very well. I think the 1973 edition was a much better rendition of it. Now, several years later, Realm was bought out. The rights to Realm were bought by Dr. William McCoolis and Stanley Levin, and they really loved the game, and they were trying to come out with their own version of Realm. They reshaped the rules a little bit to make them a little bit more streamlined. And now their rules are the official rules of the game. If you play online at superdupergames.org, or if you just look online, you'll find that those are the actual rules of the game. Dr. McCoolis also wrote an article on Realm. Came out about 10 years ago, and it's a fascinating article on a little bit of the history of the game and where it went up until the point that they got their hands on it, and it also involves some strategy. So you get to know some of the tactics that you can play in the game, as well as a few variations. So not just their official variation on the game, where you play with one less base. Instead of playing with 13 bases, you play with 12 of them. You also get a few other things. It's called Realm: The Dilemma, Creation or Destruction. Again, a very good article on the game. Now this copy, this edition, is not an official edition. They were trying to make an official edition. They were trying to sell it to big companies like Ravensburger, and among others. And this is a prototype that they did with plexiglass. So it's like a wood frame. You see the plexiglass here, and the pieces are all in wood. It's the only version of Realm that has wood pieces, and it comes with these very nice little felt bags, and you can see the name of the game, Realm, on each bag, light versus dark. Not nuts about the green, but again, this is a prototype. It was only meant to try to see if they can garner interest in the game through through another, through a larger company. They were, as from my understanding, they were able to sell quite a number of copies of this back in the 80s. So that's interesting, and so that's that. Now, back in a couple of years ago, in 2011, let me bring here. I'm going to clear up this side of the table here. Back in 2011, Nestor Games. Nestor Games is a game company that does POD type games from Spain. Nestor Games is stationed in Spain. They do some fantastic abstract games from some great designers, including Nestor himself. Nestor is not just a game publisher; he is also a very well-respected game designer. And he's quite prolific. And so he also does, he's published games, all types of games, from old games like Go and TOEFL to more modern games like, let's say, Hex, Conhex and such. So a couple of years ago, in 2011, he made a copy of Realm, and all of his games are done in this mousepad sort of board, which is very convenient. You can carry it around with you in this little bag. This little pencil type case. This version, it only comes with the red and white pieces, but I also bought the optional black and blue ones. Realm is basically played with two people, between two people. So this red and white one, it's all acrylic pieces, very nice. They work very well with the smaller board. As if you could see, let me put it right next to the original version. These are my two favorite copies right here. It's the Nestor Games edition and the original. They're actually almost the same size. The Nestor Game playing area is a little bit smaller. The pieces are somewhat smaller as well, but it's very visible. The only thing that's not as visible on the Nestor Games one is the main line that divides the individual realms. It should be a little bit thicker, like it is in the original board. But other than that, it's a very, very useful, very attractive copy. Okay, so that leads me back to the original version. Now, the reason I go back to this box, and I don't know if you can tell in the video or not, you probably can't see it. This thing is still shrink wrapped. I don't know if you could see that. It's still shrink wrapped. This is an original edition of the game. I'm going to open for you right now, right here. It's going to be an unboxing. This is an original edition. And I got it online on Board Game Geek from from Kilgore S'mores. He was selling it for a really good price, very nice price. It was, especially considering it's a 40-year-old game, and it's still shrink wrapped. That means he never touched it. Now, what I'm wondering is if this one is the black and yellow version I just told you about. Which is a version of this, or if it's the original red and white one, which is the one that I already have. So right now, I am going to focus in on this guy. And I'm going to move everything aside. And I'm going to see just what version of the game this is. I'm very excited about this. Very excited. So, all right, once again, this is the shrink-wrapped original edition of Realm, 1973. This game, again, it's 40 years old. That means this shrink wrap with the sticker and everything is 40 years old. And I'm going to unbox it for you right here, right now, on its 40th birthday, 40th anniversary. Let's see if I can get this thing off. It's there it is. It's coming off. Here we go. This is it. Okay. All right. So on the cover we have the red and white pieces. All of the first edition boxes had that. But from my understanding, or I would like to say from my guess, I think that the black and yellow pieces also had that same copy. So I could have one or the other in this. And again, we don't know what it is until... All right, there it is. There's the board. And, yep, it looks like it's... Well, what do you know? It's the black and yellow, the Fable black and yellow pieces, still in their spools. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? So, again, here are the black and yellow pieces, still in their spools. Look at that. There's one more thing I'd like to say about the 1973 edition of Realm. The board, this wonderful plastic durable board, serves two functions. It's not only a board, but when you lift it, it also provides a little storage compartment for the pieces, as well as this little part here for the rules from the original first edition. So when you're not playing it, you put the pieces inside the stand. The stand doubles up as a compartment tray, and then you put the board over it. One of the really intriguing parts about the board is that because of that, it floats, as you can see. Very, very cool. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The fascinating world of Realm.